I'm April Lawson, and this is Culture Shock TV, progressive news for progressive minds. We're in Chicago right now, and I'm seated next to Harry Lennix, actor, visionary, and activist. He's in town for the 48th annual Chicago Film Festival here. Stopped in at Roosevelt University. We grabbed him for lunch, and we're going to sit and talk about your latest film. Your latest film is Man of Steel.
Yes.
It's not Superman. Tell us more about it.
Well, it is Superman, but
Is it? Okay, see, I'm bad with the superheroes. Go ahead.
Man of Steel, Superman, same guy.
Okay.
But,
your character is who, and then tell us more about it. And was that premiered here? Did anybody get a chance to see it at Chicago International Film Festival?
No, I'm afraid not. The movie doesn't come out. Man of Steel will be released, I think, in June of next year, 2013. There were some pretty big premieres here, though. I know Denzel Washington's film Flight either opened or closed the festival, and then the Wachowski brothers, who are also Chicagoans, released their film called Cloud Atlas.
Yes, and that's big. That's like really interesting, like interlaced stories I heard with Halle Berry and Tom.
That's right, a huge movie. So everybody's excited about all of that. But I brought a film here called Mr. Sophistication.
Okay.
And Mr. Sophistication, it had our first premiere. Well, I guess that's synonymous again. But it had its premiere here at the International Film Festival. I'm very proud about that. It's the first time I saw it on the big screen. And I tell you, it's a different experience looking at it on a big screen compared to how we've seen it before. So, yes, Man of Steel, though, I play a character by the name of General Swanwick. But I can't say much more about that.
I can
tell you, I was in the United States.
But that's a little bit of a sneak peek. But you can tell us more about Mr. Sophistication.
Mr. Sophistication.
Mr.
Yes.
Sophistication.
You know, we're thinking about changing that title maybe a little bit because it's a bit of a mouthful. But Ron Waters is a guy who had a big career, you know, about 15 years ago and blew it. And he's been in Chicago since that time. He was out in LA, comes back to Chicago, and worked in his wife's club. She's a kind of impresario. But my manager, played by Robert Patrick, comes and tells me that, you know, he wants to set me up again out in LA. And then my wife, Tatum O'Neill, in this case, doesn't want me to do it.
Okay.
I go out anyway, and then I began a love affair, a triangle with a young, beautiful woman out of Los Angeles.
This is very Woody Allen-ish, you know.
It is very Woody Allen.
Woody Allen always, he's fond of the love triangle.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yes, well, I probably shouldn't give too much more
Okay,
away, but
I got it.
I can tell you that Ron Waters, the character I play, sort of lives out his life in real time in his comedy on stage.
Okay.
In fact, you can't even really call it comedy. It's more like a running commentary of what is going on in his life, some of which is extraordinarily ironic in the sense that it's funny, but it's also very satirically honest. He's a relentlessly honest man, at least on stage, if not in real life.
Okay, now when is Mr. Sophistication coming out? When can we actually go to the
I don't know yet.
see it?
I don't know yet, but April will be the first day.
Okay, well, you heard it here first. And then also now, the thing is, I read too that you weren't exactly sure, you weren't certain that you were going to become an actor when you were at Northwestern. You did very well academically, and you could have taken another route. So what was like your second or third thing that you thought, maybe profession that you would have gone to?
I had a couple of things. You know, when I actually got into acting, I was really on a track to become a priest. I was
Serious?
Yeah, I wanted to be a priest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That would have been interesting.
That would have
been a very theatrical priest.
Well, I guess
You and
that's
Father
right.
Mike Flagger, you could hang out.
Father Mike is a very good friend of mine.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he's terrific. I love him. And,
So then what happened?
some years.
What happened to spin that around where you said, no, I think acting, definitely acting?
Well, I think the easy answer is that I know that had I not chosen acting, I would have always had a burning question about whether or not, you know, I had made the right decision. I had every intention of going out there and seeing that it wasn't for me and then going back to the seminary. I would have loved to have been a teacher, a professor of some sort.
I can see that.
Right, it would have been great. You know, I have a great love for American and English literature. I think I probably would have majored in divinity and English literature. And I also had a great passion for music. You know, if I had my way, I would have been introduced to music a lot earlier in terms of playing music. But we didn't really have the money
Well, you managed to do it. For those of you who don't know, Harry is a wonderful piano player. And he actually has an event once a year with your lovely wife, sometimes here in Chicago, where the first place where I met you, he'll just rent out like this gallery, and he'll go and have sort of an intimate gathering where you just kind of stop and play the piano, and we look at paintings, and it's wonderful. It's a very diverse group of people, all these artists around. We do that once a year.
Once a year, we call it the Keys to Harry Lennix, and it's generally on with Gina Lennix, as it turns out now. But the first time I did it, we were not married yet. It was sort of a thing that had been established before I met my wife, but she's become a kind of hit on the evening.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Gina wears the killer dress when she comes in, and it's very unstructured. It's so intimate. It's just like walking into your family's home, having some great wine, cheese, hors d'oeuvres, and then periodically he'll play the piano. He's got a jazz singer that was over there the last time, and then we argue about politics in the meantime.
That's right.
And speaking of politics, here in Chicago, we've got like this. The last thing that happened majorly in the Chicago Sun-Times, Sunday paper, was they were talking about how $23 million of our taxes is being spent on paid leave, administrative leave for state employees. So I'm like, I don't know, does anyone know, what is administrative leave? I know what maternity leave is and all that. I'm just saying that I can share this with you because you're from Chicago. $23 million of our tax money goes to that. I'm like, what is that, and what is that?
What is it being used for? Yeah, I mean, $1 million, I just found out yesterday, $1 million from the taste of Chicago is down the tubes.
I need to get a job with the state
Or
and just not come to work and get $1 million. Whenever I meet Rom, that's what I want to know. Where does my bottled water tax go? And can I get, I would like administrative leave as well.
Yeah.
$23 million left, I just need $1 million and I'm good.
Where you can go not to work to get paid.
There you go.
If you find that answer, let me know. I'm there.
Okay, can you remember probably one of your favorite and probably most poignant roles that you ever played? Something that you're really proud of and that really challenged you as an actor? I
think the most challenging thing that I've done there's sort of technical challenges, and then there's emotional challenges, and then there are aesthetic challenges. I think sort of the most physically demanding role that I've done was in a television show called Dollhouse, because I was getting on in years, but I had to run a lot, and I was a kind of an action hero, and I really fell in love with, being able to shoot guns. And it's like every kid's nightmare. So
I loved you in that too.
Oh, thank you.
That was it. You were like James Bond. You were the black James Bond.
Right, in a way.
Joss Whedon, right?
Joss Whedon.
And you just got to do all this stuff. It was so sci-fi.
Right.
Yeah, I love that too.
I enjoyed that, and I think technically speaking, sort of just as an actor, I have two. It's not fair to, I'm throwing a curveball here because you asked for one, but Titus Andronicus, because I had to go toe-to-toe with Anthony Hopkins and Jessica Lange and a lot of great actors.
Those some heavy hitters.
Yes, Angus McFadden, Alan Cumming, a lot of great actors. And then on stage, I would say that it was Radio Golf, which was August Wilson's last play.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
He's one of my favorite playwrights.
Well, he is my favorite. He is.
Yeah.
He and William
He's
Shakespeare.
intense.
Yeah. I think my raison d'etre as an artist, as an actor, is to approach the works of August Wilson and William Shakespeare. Lately, Shakespeare's sort of taken my interest because I just produced what I think is the first black Shakespeare film.
I read about that. Macbeth.
Actually, that is on the table right now. It's been put on the back burner a little bit. But we actually filmed and edited, and are now in the post-production process, a version of Henry IV Parts 1 and 2, but set in the African-American experience.
Cool. And your character is who?
I am Henry IV.
There you go.
However, I think it's...
Even though you're really Harry III.
That's right.
Harry Lennix
That's
III.
That's true. That's, I didn't put that thing together. So I'm actually very proud of this because we took a black experience, but we used the words of Shakespeare. And I think that it resonates, or will resonate, I think, with all of the students who always have to study Shakespeare, but when they have the companion piece of looking at something on the phone, They don't see anybody that looks like themselves.
So they have something they can identify with, because hopefully it'll inspire that study of Shakespeare
Right.
more.
I think my ultimate goal, of course, is to get it into curriculum in various school systems throughout the English-speaking world, or wherever you may be interested in it. But having looked at the film now, it's a good film, and we have a great cast, and I think that it might do well in a kind of limited release theatrically, or perhaps on public television someplace, or a lot of other places. But there's two things that are unique about it. One is that it is the first Black Shakespeare, or at least the first film using Shakespeare's words set in Black experience. And the other part that is interesting is that for the first time we've delineated Shakespeare's two idioms. We've separated the poetry from the prose. So we film all of the poetry, all of the iambic pentameter in the theater, and all of the prose is done on location, so out in the real world.
Oh.
So that's, Shakespeare must have done that for a reason, I think. Obviously he's a genius, so he knew that he was making a distinction between heightened language and prosaic language.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody has ever before been able to separate the two in the visual space.
That's going to be interesting to
I
see.
think so.
It's an innovative thing. And speaking about the English, the
Yes.
British have a different sensibility. Their approach to acting somehow,
Yes.
I find, as a person who watches film, is a little bit different.
Yes.
Can you speak to that? Because it seems like we've got an incredible roster of English actors here who take their craft seriously, and it's a bit different to me.
Right.
How does that affect you in Hollywood? How do you think that the way that we approach studying acting and theirs is different?
Could I be politically incorrect here?
Go ahead. This is what we do over here.
It's
Yes.
called culture clash, right?
It's culture shock.
Culture shock.
With an exclamation point, culture
Culture
shock.
shock, exclamation.
So go ahead.
Right, so,
This is not Walt Disney.
I think that, the British are, I think that we have a fetish about English actors and British actors and so forth. People who sound different from us. I think that we believe that they are somehow more trained, or more educated, or more intelligent. So a lot of stuff, better people, superior. Not just Black people looking at it. I'm talking about America is fascinated with England for some reason, even though we separated from her, a couple hundred years ago.
So it's the exotic, it's the
I think it's
novelty.
the exotic,
It's the
yeah.
novelty.
I think so, but I can tell you that we have amazing American actors. They can go toe to toe with any actors anywhere in the world. But we just somehow get tricked into believing that they're somehow culturally more elite. But it really isn't true. And I think that we sometimes give a bunch of actors roles in movies just because we're fascinated they can do an American accent. Sometimes not even all that well.
Maybe that's what I'm guilty of. Because often I think of the stage actors and the film actors as it's a different discipline.
It is.
It's a different discipline. If
That's
you can project your voice and still have this presence on stage and you don't get another take, that's different from being a really cute, Brad Pitt,
Right.
that you could just stop the film and then after 30 takes, pick the best one. Do you know what I mean? And yes, there is a part of me, I guess, that is fascinated with the way that they can do accents, because I don't see too many other, actors doing different accents.
I think we don't get a chance, and I
Because all the British actors.
because
do
they
it.
get all the work. And, acting on stage and film is a separate art, and I think in general you could say the British actors have a more sort of formalized, external kind of mastery of the equipment. Obviously, there are very many great British actors, but theatrical actors in America who are trained in good school systems can also go, like I said, they can go toe to toe.
Got it.
But we are considered to sort of be more on the pulse emotionally. These are great generalities. But most people consider American actors have a more profound emotional life, and the British actors are a little bit more external. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, and I'm not exactly an adherent to that generality, but that's the thought.
Okay, I just wanted to know. So you pretty much clarified that. American actors kick ass just as much
What about African actors?
as English actors.
What about African actors?
African actors.
That's a great question.
Yeah. I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't know very many because
I
we don't.
know producers and actors in Africa.
Okay.
Very good shows.
I don't doubt it.
Well, I would say
I
this.